JRPGs have been a mainstay in video game cultures, starting out with Dragon Quest, having changed over the years. You have games in the modern age like Octopath Traveler, Final Fantasy VII, the remake, and the Fire Emblem series, carrying on the torch. But one game, one of the best JRPGs that is Sin is very prominent in Persona. The game makes it super obvious that everything is based off the 7 deadly sins. There's a little variation here and there with Madarame, whose vanity, which is a subsection of greed. It's like a gray area, but it's still under the umbrella of the 7 deadly sins. Each time the Phantom Thieves send a letter, it's always with an association to sin. Kamoshida's lust, Madarame's vanity, Junior's gluttony, so on and so forth. And each character is tied down to their main aspect very well. Through their story, their design, their world, everything has been thought out in this game. The space of where each place is for is unique to their own person. Kamoshida's is in a castle, as he feels like he's the king of the school. Junior's is a bank floating up in the sky because he feels like he's untouchable and that every single person is just money for him to suck out. The bosses are designed well, each of them having a unique trait to them. Junior's boss battle has him going into a Pigatron, a money pig. Futaba's palace is one that's very interesting when it comes to trauma. She is literally manifesting her trauma and fighting against it. Let's start with Scum of the Earth, Kamoshida. This fucking dickhead just wants me to just kill him and it's just so annoying. Meet Kamoshida, a successful PE teacher who mainly just focuses on volleyball and track. In his cognition, he sees himself as the king of the school. He has a crown, a cape, and for some reason just a speedo. He thinks that all the students, everyone around him, are his. What he wants to do with them, he can do with them. He sees Aunt Takumi like his personal whore, and whatever he wants to do with her, he can do. She's wearing this skimpy pink bikini outfit thing that he procured, and even when the original Aunt comes into the world, he just tries to make her strip and just do whatever the hell he wants with her. It's so disgusting, some of the things that he thinks up in his world. You see these busts of girls in like statues around his place. You see paintings of himself as a goddamn king and a prince. He's just an asshole. It's smart that they've implemented him as the first villain because it just sets a precipice for the entire game. You understand the tone of the villains. You understand these are not good people, and these are people that deserve what they get. Not just on, there's just every student. There's students that he sees on the volleyball team making them get hit with like 20-ton balls and making them run on a track. Let me just list them out. Her best friend tried to commit suicide because Kamoshida forced her off the team. This was following the fact that Kamoshida wanted On to sleep with him, and she just flat refused because what the hell, she's a 17-year-old girl. We even see some of the students saying, oh, she's Kamoshida's girl. The fact that she has to go and deal with this in school especially on a daily basis must be so hard on her mental, because she only has her best friend and she tried to commit suicide. When we finally see Kamoshida defeated, we get the sense of closure. Closure is this sense of a victim coming face to face with their trauma and knowing that it can't hurt them. An gets this closure when we beat Kamoshida. She's standing there in front of what she fears. Next we have Madarame. You know, he's living in a shack, doesn't wear expensive clothes at first. When we go into his cognition, we see the real person. His vanity of how rich he wants to be is insane. He wears a full gold robe. His entire palace is this gold facade of what he believes in. His entire character is a juxtaposition. You compare his real version to his cognition, and you realize how different people can be. People can put on a good face, but deep down, that's where their true personalities and desires lie. He puts himself in the eye of the paparazzi as this honest, good person, but once we know the true Madarame, you know how much of an asshole he is, and that's not even beginning to go into his history with Yusuke. So let's talk about Yusuke and Madarame. Now, this part is much less to do with vanity and just just to do with being a person. Yusuke is this orphan, talented kid. Madarame sees this in him, and he tries to raise him up as his own son, as this amazing artist. But let me tell you what really happens. So, a sick mother, an artist, wants her son to remember her because she's not going to see him grow up, he's just a baby. So she draws a self-portrait, a beautiful self-portrait of herself with her son. This piece looks amazing and it's beautiful. Now picture yourself as Madarame. You come along and you're helping this woman, she's sick, you know, she's basically dying. One day, all of a sudden, she starts spasming in front of you. What do? Do you A, try and help her? B, call an ambulance? C, give her medications? Or D, all of the above? No, if you pick any of them, you were wrong, because it's E. Fuck that and just watch her die. And then take her art, take her kid, raise her kid as your own, and sell her art for billions. Not just sell her art for billions, say it was stolen, then make copies of the stolen painting, and then sell it as the original painting to a bunch of people worldwide. What a prick. He's this two-faced bitch that just does all the wrong things by putting a nice smile on it and thinking, oh, it's good. He uses his students' art and then just disposes them like they were nothing. His vanity is so bad that he wants riches and he'll do anything. He doesn't care about relationships he's built with people. Even down Yusuke's story, when Yusuke finally has some closure when he comes and deals with it himself, he realizes that Madarame might have cared for him at some point, but he just didn't care anymore. Junior is this fat, stubby mafia gangster. And not just a mafia gangster, he's one of the mafia gangsters in the city. So you know he's just evil. Junior is just obsessed with money. All he wants is money, money, and more money. The fact that when you first meet him, his cognition is just money. It's a fucking bank in the sky. So no one can get the money is his, and he can do whatever he wants with it. He has a massive tube that sucks up everyone's money in the town. You see these ATM machines around the city when you first go there and you're wondering what the hell is this? It's people. He thinks of people as ATM machines. That's how bad it is. He's a literal flea that sticks onto money. That's his character. And I don't mean it metaphorically, I mean it literally. He turns into a flea in his boss fight. He decides to pick on children, tell them, oh, get me $1 million. I don't care. Your parents can give you that money. I think that Junior suffers from an inferiority complex. We see with one of his quotes here, you're right, I'm poor, ugly, idiot, but how am I supposed to live a normal life like this? It's because of society. Weak people can't lead a happy life, no matter what they do. I'm a victim. None of this is my fault. He blames society because of his weakness. But it's kind of true. Weak people are at a disadvantage, but he's also wrong. They can lead a happy life. Happiness comes from what actions you do. You don't have to be rich to be happy in this world. Persona makes these villains that you can just always hate, and I think it's so good at that. But next villain's slightly different. Futaba. Alright, so we've seen a pervert teacher, a conman painter, and a mafia. What do we see now? You know, is it going to be a general, a dictator, a serial killer? Nope. It's a traumatized, antisocial little girl, Futaba. Her story is definitely the most sympathetic from all of them. Her life has been turned upside down by evil people. You see her in her world as this tortured mummy girl who believes that she deserves to be alone. Her backstory is awful. Her mum used to be a scientist that worked in this plan to make cognition a reality and be able to work with cognition. Basically the entire game. Her mind is so twisted that when you first see the memories, is these memories of abuse and hatred from her mother towards her. At this point you're thinking, oh, her mother was just an asshole. No, but her life has just been awful. People have told her that she was the reason why her mother died, and this has just messed up her mind so badly. She's more grounded and relatable than any of the other characters. Her life has changed because of these traumatic events. A lot of people go through traumatic events and it sticks with them. I think it's so cool that you get to see her transition from this scared little girl that's inside a house to this brave member of the team that saves the world. We'll get back to Futaba when it comes to the trauma section, but I think she's probably, in my opinion, the second most interesting character in this game. There's only one that I think is a bit more interesting. Next we have Okumura. His story aligns with Haru's story, his daughter. And it's a very sadly real story to things that happen in the world. He sells his daughter off so that he's in a better political position. And you might be thinking, that's sick and twisted, but it's something that actually happens all across the world. A lot of people sell off their children for gain by using marriage. His sin is greed, with the space station as his main place. He doesn't acknowledge how much he hurts Haru and his employees, because his personal gain is all he cares for. You can see it in his palace where his workers are robots. He just sees them as disposable labor. He doesn't care about them, can replace them any single time. We see it as soon as we enter. A robot falls over, he just moves it to the side and a new robot takes his place. And that's it. To him, money and fame is all that matters. His greed to be powerful is what is his eventual downfall. In his world, when he's fighting off the Phantom Thieves, he offers Mona power, money, fame, but Mona just denies him, and this is just a complete shock to him, because he thinks, how can people just not want money? How can people not want fame? We find out later that the reason why his greed drives him so much, when we eventually look at his treasure is a model kit spaceship. When he was younger, he didn't have much money, and he always wanted to get this space station. But his drive to become rich eventually just overtook him. And that's what the game shows us about greed. How greed can drive someone to insanity. His greed was so bad that it started affecting the people around him. Haru's period from when she became engaged was just a nightmare for her, and she hated every moment of it. But he didn't care about her anymore. He just saw her as a tool to use for political power. Even when he's being threatened by the Phantom Thieves, he just sees it as a reason to affect his political gain. His eventual downfall and death is very similar to the downfall of man when it comes to greed. Similar to the story of, say, Icarus, where he flew too close to the sun and his wings melted. Next up is Sai Nijima. Sai is Makoto's bigger sister, and she's a major important character in the story, but we're gonna look at her through the eyes of her shadow. Her world is this casino place, which at first you'd think is really weird, but once it's explained, it all makes sense. Her life has been one big gamble. Every single thing she does is a risk. So being a casino where she rules everybody, she makes the choices and she's basically the house always wins. Her sin being envy makes so much sense. She's had to do so much for everyone in her life. For Makoto, she's had to look after her, be a sister and a surrogate mother at the same time. She's had to work in an industry where it's mainly male dominated while having to fight everyone for an opportunity. Even at the start of the game, she has to basically argue the fact that she wants this case. Her character breakdown is very telling of what kind of person she is. She doesn't want to be evil, she doesn't want to be the bad person, but society's put her in this position where she has to do everything she can to fight. She's lost her sense of justice after her father's death, driven and focused on getting what she wants. So she's jealous when it comes to everyone's freedom. The fact that her sister gets to go to school, enjoy her time with her friends, while she has to struggle, basically fight her friends who are just her colleagues to get a better position, which means she can't have friends, which means she has to basically fend for herself. When Akechi tries to become friendly with her, she just ignores him and basically brushes him off. She realizes that she doesn't want to be the bad person anymore. She's as much of a victim as maybe Futaba is. Her past sins and choices that she couldn't make basically determine her future life. Trauma. Trauma is everywhere in this game. From the main characters to side characters, even the villains have trauma. There's two characters in particular I want to talk about trauma. One is Futaba. Futaba's entire character arc revolves around the trauma. Emotional scarring that she had as a child. As a child, she loved her mother dearly. Her mother was the only person left for her. And to see her die the way she did would leave anyone scarred. She died the same way Okumura did. Black goo spilling out of her eyes and mouth, falling onto her knees into traffic and being run over. That shit is scarring. Anyone would be completely traumatized and left broken after that. Futaba was just a shell when she was given to her uncle, who abused her, didn't feed her, didn't treat her well. She had been through hell. Until Sojiro took her in, she had nothing to live for. So when she's this antisocial person who doesn't want to leave her house, who doesn't want to face reality and society, you feel for her. It's only through genuine bonding with people that she cares with and friendship that she comes out. Her story arc where you become her confidant, her coming out of her shell, slowly learning how to deal with society. It's not an instant shove, it's not an instant push. After we complete her area is going to the beach, and she's shy when we go there. Through her confidant and leveling up as a friend, we learn that she's learned how to live with herself, with the trauma. She hasn't forgotten it, she's learned to live with it. She's taken help from her friends and people around her, Sojiro, the MC's friends, and she's just learned how to live with it. She's evolved to become a better version of herself. Meanwhile, on the other side, we have someone who's a bit more of a mystery character, and that's Goro Akechi. Akechi's past is, if not on par, worse than Futaba's. He's Shindo's unofficial child, seen as this problem that accidentally happened, and since Shindo had so much power, he just decided, you know what, I don't want to raise this kid, here, take some money and leave. She was a sex worker who could not live with herself and killed herself. Before that, she was living as a prostitute in the red light district, going around and pleasing people for money. Akechi's mother suffering, and he wanted to make Shindo apologize for the crime. Couldn't do anything because he was powerless. And that's what happens in society. People without power, they don't get what they want. Akechi is haunted by his mistakes that aren't even his. It's his past that's ruined his entire future. Being an illegitimate son of a famed politician leaves you in this position of just being nobody. You feel more like a scandal than anything, like an item, a prop to be used. Akechi has this worldview of self-loathing and hatred to himself. He's very similar to the MC. The only difference is that the MC found people who cared for him. Akechi's just like the main character. They're both two sides of a coin. They both seek justice. The justice that they get, however, comes from two very different worldviews. The main character sees the world through the people he interacts with and the confidence he builds. He sees the different side of man and people and how they treat each other in society. Meanwhile, Akechi's only been treated with hate. He's only seen hate. His only view is hate. His worldview has just been corrupted and tainted by trauma. At the end of the game, his true feelings are finally shown. He loses himself to this false sense of true justice that he's created because he doesn't have the concept of friends. He just loses it. His mind becomes twisted and sickening. You can see it in a visual depiction when he changes from his costume to this dark metallic spikes coming out of everywhere costume. Only after beating Shindo, Akechi finally comes to his sense and realizes that true justice is a matter of free will, which is something he never had the opportunity to. His entire life's goal was to take revenge on Shindo. Persona deals with trauma in a very open way. It shows how trauma can lead to the downfall of a person, but also to the good of man. Like Futaba, she evolved and became a better person. Same with Yusuke from earlier. Yusuke went back to Madarame's place and he found himself happy, and that even though Madarame didn't love him anymore, there was at some point where he felt like a true surrogate father to him. Overall, I think Persona deals with trauma and sin incredibly well. It handles it in a realistic and open-minded way. It doesn't try and push too much of it down your throat, but it's always a lingering main key point to the story. And this is why I think Persona is one of the best JRPGs.